Well, it's Thanksgiving season, and we hope that you're enjoying your time with family and enjoying this break from the workday. And we hope that you're going to end the year off right. Well, here on Stay in the Water, it's our Good News series. Every year around this time, from now until the new year, we talk about the good news and things happening in our community. And today, we have none other than a good friend of mine, who I call a brother from another mother, to talk about his journey and the good news that he has in the community. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric LaVille. Stay tuned. We'll be right back for our Good News series. Welcome back. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric LaVille. Once again, we want to thank you for joining us, as you always do, on this beautiful Sunday morning, the day after Thanksgiving. We hope that all of you enjoyed your time with family, with friends, taking a break from the hustle and bustle, and just really enjoying life and being thankful for all the blessings that God has bestowed upon us throughout the year. As always, I'm thankful to be broadcasting from none other than the Norfolk State University, home of the Spartan Nation, from none other than WNSB Hot 91, the soul of VA. And you know, in this Thanksgiving season, I look forward to this time period every single year because, you know, with you joining us, we talk about law, we talk about politics, we talk about things that are happening in our community. And a lot of it is up and down, a lot of it's, some of it's bad, but a lot of us, some agree, some don't. But one thing about this time of the year is that we all can do one thing, and that's to be thankful for the good things happening in our community. So I'm so happy to kick this Good News series off this year in 2024, looking into 2025 with someone who I admire, someone who I've had a great working relationship with for, now about 8 years. None other than somebody who I'll call a brother from another mother. He is known throughout this community, the Hampton Roads region, throughout his career as a news anchor, journalist, and definitely somebody who's a voice that you can trust. And that's none other than Kurt Williams, news anchor and journalist from WTKR Channel 3 News here. Kurt, how are you doing today?
Man, that was quite the intro. I feel so honored. That was like, that was legit. That was, wow. How are you doing, man?
Well, you know, like I said, it's Sunday after Thanksgiving. I've expanded my pants buckle just a little bit. Hopefully I can work it off this week coming up. But just really enjoyed Thanksgiving and family and just a time to take a break. What about yourself?
Well, yes. I mean, it's this time of year. It is such a blessing to be able to spend it with family. And yes, the good eating is amazing. My wife's sweet potatoes are killer. But just to be able to spend it with family, that is much to be thankful for. And then, of course, this Thanksgiving weekend holiday time, I am thankful because I'm on the other side of my cancer treatment, and there's just much to be thankful for catching it early, for just the doctors and the staff, and just that there were no serious complications or, unexpected side effects. So life is good.
Absolutely. You know, I mentioned this to you before, as you and I, we've worked together since 2016. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I know. I mean, just doing the political thing and definitely enjoy working with you. I mean, I think people have told me we have such a great, synergy when we're on the set together and, just a back and forth. And, but one thing I told you in private, and I will say it now publicly, I really admire your bravery to come out and really talk about, your journey through cancer and especially prostate cancer, something that a lot of men, especially African-American men and men of color, really deal with on a disproportionate level. As a matter of fact, you were honored by a nonprofit for the 7th Annual Legacy Award to you for your bravery and for helping others and people that live with cancer. So, again, I think what you've done has been tremendous and what you're continuing to do. And I thought we could start this Good News series off with your journey and how prostate cancer became a part of how you you believe God wants you to make an impact?
Well, and it was a lot of people have said, Kurt, you're so brave and you're so courageous to share this story, and I do appreciate that. But it really, to me, I just thought that it was a news story because the way I found my prostate cancer was not the conventional way. The majority of men catch their prostate cancer through the PSA blood test, that screening test. And my PSA level was a little elevated, but it was still in what would be considered the normal range for my age, and had actually come down from a previous visit. So I was, just so thankful and grateful that it was heading in the right direction. It was heading down. But my doctor, who is an old school doctor, Dr. John Liu, who, because I'm an African-American man, and because he was aware I had shared my family history that my father had been successfully treated for prostate cancer, he said, hey, in addition to the blood test, you know what we got to do? And it's the old finger visit. And not to be crass, but the men out there know what I'm talking about. And that's when he was checking out my prostate, literally checking it out, he felt some irregularities. And he said, it was weird. When I turned around and looked at him, you could tell the wheels were spinning in his mind that something wasn't quite right. And he said, I felt an irregularity. He said, based on your, ethnic race, your family history, we need to get that biopsy. And whenever you hear biopsy, typically that's not good, that they're looking to see if you have cancer. And that put me on the journey. And so it really wasn't so much wanting to be brave or courageous. I just thought, geez, if this could happen to me, there are men out there that might be skipping the physical exam because we don't enjoy that exam. And so I just thought that we should tell a story about men. Get both screening tools, use those. Use the blood test, use the digital rectal exam, which tries to make it sound technical, but it's not. And that's also played a role in our calling the 30-minute documentary that we do that's available right now on WTKR.com, shameless plug. Don't fear the finger. And it just, one story, Dr. LaVille, just kind of turned into, first it was just on the biopsy. And we invited the camera in there during my biopsy, which was pretty revealing, but I think it was to kind of educate viewers, this is what you'll go through. And then after that, we did, stories on the different options. Is it going to be surgery? Is it going to be radiation? Is it going to be proton therapy? And then we did a story on how your faith and hope, how that can help you navigate this journey. And so it just seemed like that there were just stories after stories that just opened up along this journey.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Kurt, one of the stories that opened up was that there was a man that actually saw your story. And
Eddie.
Seeing your story, he learned that he has cancer. Tell us about that conversation you had with him.
Well, that was kind of weird initially because I was speaking at a men's church health conference in Hampton. And right before I was about to go up and speak, this guy walked up and he said, you saved my life. Your story saved my life. And I was kind of taken. I've never had anyone. I've been doing news for 37, actually maybe closer to 40 years. I forget about my time in Tennessee. So almost 40 years. And I can't recall of anyone ever saying that I did a story, a piece of journalism that saved their life. And so to hear that was quite shocking. And he said that he too, when he saw my story, that there were just bells that were just ringing, that he had a family history. His PSA was in the normal range, but his brother and his father had prostate cancer. He hadn't been getting the digital rectal exam. And so when he went to another doctor that was going to do it, they said, your prostate is like hard as a rock and you need to get that biopsied. And they discovered cancer. And so he had it he had his prostate surgically removed, but it was kind of surreal to have him come up and in tears say, "Your story saved my life."
Wow. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric LaVille, and today we're starting our Good News series. Throughout the year, we bring movers, shakers, and policymakers to you to discuss issues important to the community. And this time of the year, we bring movers and shakers in our community to discuss the good news that's happening in our area. Today, we have with us none other than my good friend, my brother from another mother, who we do a lot of work together in political talk and news reporting on WTKR Channel 3 here in Hampton Roads, none other than Kurt Williams, news anchor and journalist. Today, we're discussing his journey through prostate cancer, how he found out, and his journey itself, and how it impacted his life, and how he's impacting others for the good. You know, Kurt, not just this gentleman, but, you're also, like I said earlier, you're being honored by a group, or you were honored by a group for your journey in helping others with cancer. Tell us a little bit about Lee's Friends and this group that's a premier nonprofit cancer support program here in Hampton Roads.
Yeah, that was such an honor to have them reach out to me and to give me their Legacy Award. And because the legacy is, that's a powerful word when you think about, what it represents. But Lee's Friends, it's this nonprofit that is, I think they're in their 45th year, I think.
Yeah, since 1979.
And they provide services for people who maybe don't have a great support system, or really just anyone that just maybe they're going through it alone. And so whether it's they have limited means or whether they are going through this journey alone. And so if you need help to your chemo treatment, I was blessed that because they caught my prostate cancer early, I had many options for treatment, and I went with radiation. But radiation is like, it's really, even though it's 5 weeks of it and it's daily, it's maybe a 4-minute session once you're on the table and they're zapping you, and you really don't feel anything right away. So it wasn't really anything for me to drive to my radiation treatments, and then I would leave work and come back, have my session, and then come back here, and I was back at work. But if you're having chemo, that can wipe you out. And so if you don't have somebody who can drive you, then what do you do? They also, in some cases, provide emergency financial relief. Maybe you work at a place where you don't have enough sick days to cover your journey, and so you're losing money, and you need help keeping the lights on or making a car payment, and then they also just form. Sometimes it's just they just need someone to talk to. I was blessed. I had people. I had my wife. I had my daughters. I had my dad and brother and coworkers. I had my church, and they were just all great if I needed to share or talk. But there's some people who they don't have that kind of support system, and so at Lee's Friends, in addition to maybe taking you to your chemo treatments or other doctor's appointments or helping you with financial emergencies, sometimes it's just somebody who you can call up and say, "Man, I'm in a dark space right now. I need to talk to someone." And so it was an honor to receive this Legacy Award from Lee's Friends.
Kurt, you talk about the network that you have, and like I said, you've been extremely transparent about your entire journey, but sometimes it's hard for us to be vulnerable, about things that's impacting our lives, especially as serious as cancer. Can you talk to us about one moment, or the moment you were diagnosed, and that one moment that you had where it caused you to sit back and reflect on your life, and you had to pinch yourself and say, wait a minute, this could be serious?
I guess because my father successfully went through prostate cancer 30 years ago. He's 93 now, and just going full speed ahead.
And look, you guys enjoyed Thanksgiving together as well.
Yeah. And so to see him in his great health. I mean, that is very helpful in knowing that prostate cancer doesn't have to be a death sentence. And I just think also being a Christian, that helped me in such a tremendous way in knowing that I needed to have I try to have a disciplined thought life, but to really, when you hear the cancer word, then you really have to have a very disciplined thought life about where the rabbit holes that your mind can go down of, they didn't catch it early in time. Oh, there are going to be all these kind of side effects. Oh, it's going to come back. Even since I've gotten my initial good report saying that the cancer is undetectable, you will every now and then get these thoughts of, but what if because you'll run into people. When you go public with something like cancer, you will run into people who are very encouraging and say, yes, I've been down that journey and I'm great, and it hasn't come back. And then you will also hear from people who are saying, yeah, I'm on my second bout of prostate cancer. And so you've got to have a disciplined thought life. And so the scripture from Philippians 4:8, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. And so really all of Philippians 4 really became very real to me during this. Philippians 4:6, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. So a good chunk of Philippians 4 was very helpful. And I think there were times where my mind would start to drift down a dark hole, and I would just have to catch myself very quickly and realize, hey, this is not a surprise to God. This is not a surprise to God. And, the creator of this is not too big for the creator of the universe. And so I'm not saying that there weren't temptations to go down dark holes, but thankfully, when you have so many people praying for you, Eric, there were like a ton of well-wishers on social media, emails, my church members, and saying, we're pulling for you, we're praying for you, you've got this. When you have that kind of prayer network, it really does help you navigate something like this.
Wow. Faith, family, ensuring that you can make it through the day.
Amen.
Kurt, you also talked about this documentary that you have, Don't Fear the Finger. Look, one thing I love about our time working together is that no matter what we work on, you have a way of making it light, right? Serious things that we deal with, but being able to communicate it to the public in a very light way to where it's not that you don't feel like it's the end of the world, even though it may seem like it is. And I think even the title of your documentary that you have, Don't Fear the Finger, makes men and feel a little easy about watching it. And also understand it. First of all, where did the title come from?
So to be honest, it came from Urology of Virginia. That's where I was getting my treatment. That's where Dr. John Liu, who I have to give major props to because he's the one that was insistent on the digital rectal exam, even when I saw my PSA numbers go down. But that's kind of a saying that they use around there, don't fear the finger. And they even hand out these little, I don't know how to describe them. It's like they have little props that they hand out with that kind of lingo, don't fear the finger. And as we were talking about how we were going to really try to get people's attention so that they would pay attention, I thought, don't fear the finger. There are men who do not get this exam. They just, for whatever reason, because they have, it's uncomfortable. It's not fun. It's awkward. And there are some men that were just so delighted that there was this blood test now. Okay, now I don't have to do this. Well, black men have the highest rate of prostate cancer. And let me just say, if you have a family history or if you are a black man, you're going to want all screening tools at your disposal. I got a head start on finding out about my prostate cancer because of that physical exam. I guess at some point my PSA numbers would started to have tracked up, but at the time they were going down. And it was that physical exam that gave me a head start. And so I think we thought that anytime you say don't fear the finger, when I got the award at the Lee's Friends event, and they were kind of reading my bio and introducing me, and they said, he produced Don't Fear the Finger. I mean, people started chuckling throughout this. It's kind of hard to not chuckle when you hear it, and hopefully it will get men's attention, and hopefully it will wake some men up like, all right, I can do this. But I think humor has helped me. I mean, I would joke when I would tell people that, it's important that you go see Dr. Jellyfinger. That would be my way of kind of breaking it down, that digital rectal exam, there's nothing digital about that exam. There's no technology. They don't take out your cell phone and scan your prostate, all right? It's a finger up the butt. And so I think being honest and a little blunt and trying to inject a little humor, I think hopefully helps. And it helped me.
Absolutely. Like I said, that 10 to 15 second physical exam could literally save your life.
Yeah.
Kurt, take us, I mean, like I said, you took the cameras into your treatment. You took the cameras to have interviews with the doctors, the physicians. Tell us a little bit about what we as learners, and I say learners. I mean, we're watching it, but we're learners of how to save our lives, what we're in store for with this documentary.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you really kind of get a front row seat. I mean, when I say the camera's in there, I mean, it's on the side face. You don't see them, but I kind of navigate what's happening I'm doing some talking, the doctor's doing some talking, but he's kind of walking us through the procedure of a biopsy, of where they're inserting this probe, which is like a ultrasound that has a camera attached to it, and so he could see my prostate, and there's also like a little needle gun that's attached to it that was taking samples, and you hear the clicking sound of that needle gun being fired that took about 13 samples. And so you see that happening, and I'm awake during that. Now, you can go to sleep, you can ask to be under some sedation, but I thought, well, maybe I can. I don't know why I thought I could weather it and it not be that uncomfortable, but it was, if I have to have it again, I might choose a little sedation. I think also I was going back to work, and I knew that I was like, man, if I'm sedated, I'm not going to be able to go back to work.
Wait a minute. You didn't take the day off?
No. Which in hindsight, if I'm being fully transparent, I think there would have been some wisdom in taking the day off, because when I got back to work, and I guess they numb you a little bit before they start taking those samples, but when that stuff wears off, I was, looking for some Advil, some ibuprofen in a minute, because it was the pain was coming on. But so the camera's in there for that. The camera's in there when I'm talking with the different doctors, talking about the different options for treatment and what are the side effects of those various treatment options. The cameras are in there when I chose radiation, and the doctors were in there when I was. The cameras were in there as much as they could before they started turning on the machine and the radiation, which is not safe to have a photographer in there. But you really do get, I think, a pretty comprehensive look, from the biopsy to the different consultations of what the pros and cons are of each treatment option. I think it's just to be transparent so that you can kind of get a glimpse of, hey, this is what you'll go through, and there's going to be some discomfort, but it's better than the alternative. I mean, it's better than just kind of, well, I'm going to put my head in the sand. I'm not going to deal with this. And I've heard from some people who have family members that just didn't want to deal with it. And so I'm hoping that we kind of pull back the curtain and you can see, look, you can survive this. There's also a segment that we do on Faith and Hope where we talk about the power of faith. We interview one of my pastors at my church, Coastal Community Church, and the senior chaplain with Centera Norfolk General Hospital, and my radiologist, who I don't know what his religious beliefs are, but he was saying that yes, he has seen the difference of when people have hope and have faith and an expectation, and this is going to work out, and he has seen how in those cases they somehow will it to be that they're going to weather this and they're going to come out on the other side, with a positive recovery. And so, and there's that interview with Eddie. You mentioned Eddie, the guy who we sat down with him on what it meant to him.
Yeah.
So I just think that there's a lot of powerful stuff in the Don't Fear the Finger. And then just all of my stories individually are also online as well. I think if you just search Don't Fear the Finger, a lot of them will pop up.
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely find it on WTKR.com. Just type in Don't Fear the Finger, and it will pop up the story, the entire documentary. And you can see in Kurt's journey that he is, through his bravery, his courage, and his willingness to share his story to help others live through this disease. You'll see it all to help you and to help not just you live a healthier life, but a fuller life as well. Kurt, tell us about when you rang that bell for your last radiation treatment. What was going through your mind?
That was, it was weird in the sense that I was ringing the bell for one part of my cancer treatment. And so I asked them because in addition to the 5 weeks of radiation, I was doing the radioactive seeds. I think it's brachytherapy. I think that's what it's, but and they're like little tiny pellets. I mean, it's smaller than rice. It's like if you think of the tip of a lead pencil. And so I think there was, I'm trying to remember, it's maybe about 100 of them were surgically implanted into my prostate. But that was going to be like a month after I had wrapped up my radiation. And so I asked them, I said, I still have more treatment. Do I still ring the bell? And they said, hey, when you wrap up your radiation treatment, you ring the bell. And, so even though I knew I still had my surgery for the radioactive pellets, it still felt good. It still felt to finish that part. It was, Eric, it really is kind of surreal how, on the front side of it, I'm thinking, 5 weeks of radiation. And now it just kind of seems like a blur. It really wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, I just got into such a routine that I would leave the station, drive about 8 minutes away to Centera Norfolk General to their radiation department, run in there, lie down on the table. They would zap me, and then I'd run back to work. I mean, there were times it was so quick that they didn't even know I had left the station. But but it was still a good feeling to ring that bell. And then definitely a great feeling after I had my surgery behind me, because that meant I was going home with a catheter. And I don't know if you've ever had a catheter before, your listeners, but that's like it's so you can pee. I mean, you're peeing into a container that you're kind of lugging around. And then they also gave me instructions on how to remove the catheter. And I mean, I know it's the day after Thanksgiving, and so not to get too, but there's like a tube inserted in your penis, all right? And you're peeing through that into this container until you can, I don't know, I guess until, fortunately, it was only for like an overnight. But I probably stressed that more than the actual surgery. And one little nugget, I videotaped them the instructions on how to remove the catheter, because there's no way to properly kind of go into detail, because it's kind of something you have to see, but you've got to deflate the balloon. And it's so I was stressing over that. And so I'd say any men who are listening who are thinking, oh my God, if you do surgery, you're going to have a catheter for a week. So when it comes to prostate cancer, I think there probably are some other treatments where I think they try to freeze the prostate. And so I'm not a doctor, but two of the treatment options, radiation or surgery, involve a catheter. And what was very helpful was when I videotaped the nurse explaining me, because they were trying to show me, and I said, I got to videotape this because I got to do this right. And I played the little video that I took on my phone the next morning, and it came out exactly like they said it would. And so that wasn't even, I was so stressed over that, but that was, in the end, that was nothing to stress over.
Yeah. Well, like you said in the very beginning, you're thankful in this season to be on the other side, making sure that you share your story, your courage and your bravery to save other men. But like you said in your documentary, this is not just a special for men, but women have a lot of influence with your husbands, sons, dads, and brothers, and uncles. And you encourage them to watch this as well, because your influence with your loved ones can help save a life. Once again, we thank you so much, my good friend, Kurt Williams. Again, you bring so much great value to the gift that God's given you to this community. And we thank you for being as transparent and your brave and courage to share your story to help us. And I appreciate you so much. So I'm pretty sure I'll see you very soon.
All right, brother. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for having me on. And again, I do have to just thank God that He didn't allow pride to get in the way of me having that physical exam, because when the PSA numbers were good, I'm thinking, I really don't need this. And I just thank God how He guided me along, didn't let pride get in the way, and that I'm on the other side of this, and I'm feeling great. So thank you for having me on, Eric, so that I could share my journey.
Absolutely. This has been Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric LaVille. In this Thanksgiving season, continue to be thankful, because God has truly blessed us all. Until next time, Amen. Be good, be great, God bless, and we'll see you next week.
Hi, I'm Carrie Washington, and you're listening to State of the Water with award-winning host Dr. Eric LaVille.